This episode of The Kevin Long Show is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Do you know a podcast fan? For totally awesome headphones, head over to tweakedaudio.com and in the checkout code, type Southgate for 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through our website, southgatemediagroup.com. This episode of The Kevin Long Show is also brought to you by Coffee, where you can buy us a coffee for just $3 at coffee.com. All right, it's that time of the week again. Time for the Kevin Long Show. And I'm your host, Kevin Long. And with me today is Michael and Steven from Mystic Dragon Gaming. Hello.
Howdy. Hello. How are you?
I'm well, and you?
Doing great.
Good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And,
well, just to clarify, it's Mystic Dragon Games.
I knew I was saying it wrong.
No worries. So, Mystic Dragon Games was started this year, actually, by my wife and I, Kim. We're big-time gamers, board gamers, role players, and I've been doing it since, 30 years now or more. It just sprung out of a love of creativity and wanting to give back to the community and grow a business where we showcase some of our creativity. And then for this particular project, our first project, the Mobius Deck of Wonders, we brought in our good friend Stephen Dudley, who's been a big help in developing this idea that I had and seeing it to fruition.
That's sweet. So why the Deck of Wonders for your first project? That seems pretty big.
Well, it's funny you should say that because we thought it was going to be a small project. At least that's what we thought initially. So our idea was we have a number of different board games and other RPG stuff in various stages of development. I was trying to figure out what would be a good thing to start out with. What would be a good project to launch to both be a learning experience for us as far as the developing a Kickstarter campaign and just getting our name out there and developing our brand. And this idea, the Mobius Deck of Wonders, actually came to me in a vision in one of those half awake, half asleep moments. And there's a lot of great RPG products out there. Especially nowadays with the self-publishing. There's just tons of stuff of great material. And I was trying to figure out, well, what would be a project that's not overly cumbersome, but is also something that I think would be unique and be useful in the gaming community. And so this came to my mind. And basically the idea behind the Mobius Deck of Wonders is it's not just a collection of magic items. It actually is a story behind it. All these magic items have some link to this character named Mobius Spin, which happens to be Steven's character in one of our home games. The idea was that this wizard, Mobius Spin, before he ended his life cycle, he wanted to leave something to the world before he left behind to help other adventurers in their quests. And so almost every item in this deck has some tie to Mobius Spin in his previous adventures or his experiences in life. So I think in that way it's really unique. And I also wanted to make sure we had something that I'm a GM, so I wanted something that was very GM friendly, and we're real big on handouts in our games and props and those types of things. So this encompasses all of those. So the cards were designed without any text on them, so that the GM can use them however they want in any game system they want. And although we will provide rules agnostic rules for each card, you're not locked into them. There's no text in the card, so when you hand it to the player, you can make the rules whatever you want for that card. You're not just locked in whatever's printed on the card. So
that's really cool. I'm glad I asked that question first, because I was thinking the tankard that turns into a truth serum. I don't know if I would use that card as much, but now knowing that Mobius handcrafted each of these items and that there's like I can make the text as the DM. I could see how that would work out now.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, we would always repurpose items like an antique, like candlestick or whatnot. We'd repurpose it for a prop in the game. So I thought it was a great idea when Mike told me that, to be able to have the versatility and the flexibility to use the cards in that way. That was a great idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Like we have a good friend that downloaded the demo pack, which I'm sure you're referencing to, and he couldn't wait to use that Tanker Truth, even though he probably modified it for his own use, in his game. But the artwork is so fabulous. We've got some really great artists working on this project with us. We're really lucky, and it really entices you to want to use these cards in your games.
That's awesome. Part of your role is good friend. What else are you doing on this project?
I'm pretty much Mobius Spin. So Mike and Kim originally came to me with the project idea because they had in mind a wizard character that was going to create these cards, and they knew that I already had my character pretty well fleshed out because Mike's basically the GM for that game. And I, when I play a character, I have a lot of the backstory and why is this character who he is or whatnot. So my role is to kind of help provide guidance in how the cards are made, why they're made, how do they tie into the overall big picture under the umbrella of Mobius Spin. So I guess I'm basically a subject matter expert. And we all work really well together. We constantly are working to bounce things off one another to make sure everything is plugs into the overall whole concept of the the main arch of the story of Mobius Spin. So, and it's like we're talking about how everything started out as a small project. Well, just kind of built out, and it's continuing to build out because there is so much to tell about this character. So
yeah, Steven's been playing this character in my game for 4 years now. So it's not just a one-shot character. He's got a lot of history.
It's the longest playing character I've ever done.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on, and it's kind of working to our benefit because we're able to plug it into potential future projects.
Sweet. What system are you playing right now?
It's a Pathfinder.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, a little bit modified, but yeah, the base of it is Pathfinder rules. But just like any other game or experienced GM, you kind of pull elements from other systems to you tweak it how it fits your needs. But I'd say the base of it is the base Pathfinder 1.0.
Okay. Sweet. So everything that this deck, the Mobius, it's system neutral?
System neutral. We will have stretch goals for the Kickstarter campaign to unlock where we will convert the system neutral rules into rules for various game systems. So Pathfinder, D&D 5e, OSR, Dungeon World, that type of thing. So those are all social stretch goals, so they should be pretty easy to meet, hopefully. And we're excited about that and be able to, convert the system neutral rules into actual rules that GM can just plug in and play into their games.
Cool. So you said that there is a sample available that's on Drive-Thru RPG, correct?
Yes, you can get Drive-Thru RPG. Just look up Mobius Deck of Wonders or just type in Mobius. It's like one of the first ones that pops up. And it's a free download. It has 6 of our 40 cards in there. And also, we threw in, as a bonus, rules for Pathfinder and D&D 5e for those 6 cards. So
Cool. We'll also have a link for that in the show notes. But let's get into the meat of it, I guess. When does the Kickstarter launch?
July 16th at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Sweet.
And it will go through to August 15th. I believe at 11 p.m. at night, Central Standard Time.
Cool. What else do you guys want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to point out that Steven isn't just not only the inspiration, the character behind the Mobius Deck of Wonders, but Steven also has done a lot of other work with us on this project. For one, the Kickstarter video, whoever it's out there now, went live this week. The pre-launch video, and you'll notice there's in the beginning there's a little guitar riff playing behind the narration of the video, and Steven wrote and performed that for that video. He also did a lot of audio editing for us for the videos. And we have a second video that kind of describes how the cards are to be used in games, or suggest how the cards are to be used in games, and he wrote all the music and performed that and mixed it and everything. So Steven's a multi-talented.
Well, thanks.
The wizard is also a bard.
We all have talents that we're bringing together, so we're able to do a lot with our small team. And plus, like Mike said, we were lucky enough to have 3 artists that are really good. So, yeah. But we pulled together ideas for the cards, and man, it's been a really, really cool experience. Actually, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, and they're not just a collection of random items, although it may seem so on the surface. They all have a story. They have some link to Mobius Spin. I think that's what makes it unique and stands out amongst the other, Magic item decks. And these cards are also made to be interactive. So since they don't have any text on them, when the character receives this card in the game, it's bound to them for life. And then to activate the card, at least as the rules that we have written, as a GM, you can totally change them. But as we have written them, the idea behind them is the character and the player will both interact with this card to activate the magic. So it could be a fun little role-playing additive to the games, where the player is actually doing exactly what they would do with a card that their character is doing in the game.
That's really cool. I'm excited about this deck just because it is kind of intertwined with the character, the player, and Mobius. It's not just like, oh, here's this random magic sword that everybody could get.
Right. Yeah, it was important to us to have everything tied together, the meaning of things, because I don't really care for storylines that kind of dead end somewhere where it doesn't really make sense. So we've gone through great efforts to make sure that everything does make sense to who.
That it's tied to the story. It's not just a cool artwork. It's not just cool artwork. It's there's a story behind it, and there's a character behind it. And for future projects, we're really going to expand Mobius Spin's role in our universe. Branch out in other projects, modules, and probably create our own world, maybe in our own system. So those are things we have also in the works that will spin off of Mobius Spin.
Yeah, we are building out the story in the blog on the Mr. Dragon Games website. So that's also a fun thing. Give people an idea of his story, who he is, and eventually, wow, how did he become this Wizard King? So it's exciting. It's going to be fun.
This does sound exciting.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point, Steven. There's a couple blog posts now on our site that kind of start to develop the back history of Spin and kind of just introduce Spin to the world before he was actually Mobius Spin. So it goes back many, many, many years.
Goes way back.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. The deck, does it Does it come all 40 cards when a character finds it? Are all 40 cards going to be in the deck, or is it going to be kind of like the deck of many things, and it could possibly be missing some?
It's totally up to the GM. So they were going to design the actual box as well. It's going to look kind of like a book, and we're going to have a sleeve that fits over the tuck box so that it doesn't have any UPC codes or logos all over it, and so that the deck itself will be a handout or a prop. So when the idea is like if the characters stumble on a treasure hoard or defeat some major boss or however you want to introduce the deck, they'll just see a normal decks laying there, and as soon as they touch this deck, it will reveal its true form to them. And this deck is tarot-sized card, so they got a nice weight to them, and it also allows us more real estate to make the graphics bigger. But the deck will entice them to draw a random card. And so as a GM, you could, if this deck has been in your world for eons, maybe it only has 10 cards left. Maybe it has 30 cards. Or maybe there's certain cards you don't want them to accidentally get because they're too powerful because of their level. You can adjust that however you want. And there's unlike the deck of many things, there's nothing in there that's detrimental and to the character. It may be challenging to the GM because of the power level of the item, but because there's no text on the card, you can totally adjust everything. That's the beauty of it. And so the idea is when they find this deck, you as a GM would hand that physical deck to the player, and they choose a card. And as soon as they choose the card, it reveals its powers to them, and it's bound to them for life. And so now they have a physical handout, a card with this beautiful artwork that they can keep with their character and interact with throughout the game. And the power levels of the card vary from, like the Taker of Truth, which is somewhat on the lower end, to more epic items or artifacts that are like spins items, which will some are included in the deck and some will be stretch goals.
That is so cool. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, we are too.
I bet.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
we just got the demo decks in a couple weeks ago, and it's just a really fulfilling feeling to hold these cards and the decks in your hand and see all the hard work you put into it, in the physical form. And we actually had the opportunity to role play with the guys over at Blackmore, who did the Blackmore documentary series on the origins of D&D, and they came over and ran us through one of the first original dungeon crawls ever created in D&D universe, Tornsburg dungeon, and Griff, one of the creators of this documentary, was running the game, and he just picked up our deck, thumbed through it, found a card he liked, and introduced into the game just like that, and it had a kind of a critical role in the game. So that was pretty fun and pretty exciting to be a part of that.
That's so cool. And yeah, I know that feeling when you create something and it shows up in the mail and you get to touch it for the first time. That's a good feeling to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the cards are really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, that's another thing is that I guess that why this has kind of blossomed to a bigger project than we initially thought is we don't want to do everything as quality as possible. We don't want to cut corners, even though we're a small company. Our budget's limited compared to large corporations, large gaming companies. We still want to present ourselves as professionals and have a quality product that any GM would be proud and have and use. We don't want to just throw stuff out there and make a little money. We want stuff that's going to be usable for players and GMs, and it lasts a lifetime. Something they could use forever.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we had talked about right out of the gate. Is that we did want to to have a quality product. So and that's kind of our philosophy overall. And as best we can, that's what we want to deliver. So, and that's part of why we're working the way we are to develop the story, the background, and this solid structure of this universe we're creating. We want it to be quality. So that's been our idea from the get-go.
So not just quality as in the physical products, but quality in the actual content as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's good. I personally I like quality. Like, I don't want to just spend money on something that's just going to be like, oh, this is cool to have, and then it sits on my shelf forever. Like, I like having good, solid stuff that I can use for however many years I need it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the idea behind these. You could even use these. They don't even have to be magical items. They could just be important plot items that are in your story, and you want to have a physical, physical representation of this item that's key to the story. You can have beautifully illustrated cards that you can show to your players or give to them, and to help move the story along, or add some immersion to your story, to your game. So they're really universal cards. Even game systems like Cthulhu, which magic items don't have the same type of role as they do in like D&D or Pathfinder. Usually in a magic item in a Cthulhu game, it's a kind of a curse and a boon, and so they're very special, and they can be very powerful, and there's several cards in that deck that could be easily used in a Cthulhu game, like Deadhead. I think Deadhead is one of part of the demo deck, where you have this machinate what do you call it? The shrunken head, and it looks really cool, and it looks kind of spooky, and so it's pretty universal, pretty versatile cards that you can use in many different ways.
That's awesome. Cool. Let's see. What else do I have? I'm so intrigued to learn more about Spin.
We're looking forward to unraveling the story, and it's there's a lot there. There's more than just a Mobius spin ahead. So we're looking forward to fleshing out the whole thing. But that's part of building the universe, and one step at a time.
Well, I think
all the
go ahead.
I was say all the great fantasy universes tend to have a powerful, overseer. You think about like Lord of the Rings. You have Gandalf. You have like Forgotten Realms. You have Elminster, the mage or the wizard. So Mobius Spin is kind of our Gandalf, in our universe. So
yeah, he's kind of he's certainly a heavy hitter in the world where he has his kingship. He's obviously not the only force, but he's definitely had his influence in the world, and that's part of why he's putting his essence into these cards, because everyone lives and everyone dies, and the balance of power in the world as it is that way because of him, because of his presence in the world. And once he's gone, his concern is, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the balance in the world? And that's part of why he's putting himself, some of his essence, in this deck, so that people who are worthy of finding that through fate or whatnot, they can get a piece of his energy and help maintain that balance, maybe, So, yeah, it's going to be fun to see all this come to fruition and tell the story.
Sounds like a good story.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Super excited.
Yeah, we are too.
Well, I think that's all I have. Do you guys have anything else?
Steven, do you have anything?
I would just say check out the blog site if you want to get to know Mobius Spin better. We're going to be putting posts up there on a fairly regular basis to try to continue on and telling his story. Also, the versatility of the deck I really like, and I think that it's going to be very useful to a lot of GMs and just really anyone who wants to try to repurpose them for whatever. But I personally look forward to kind of seeing what people are going to do with the cards, and hopefully maybe we can hear back from people, when they using the cards for whatever, let us know. We'd love to hear it.
Well, that's a good point. Actually, what I wanted to add is we're going to have a forum on our webpage, and we're going to have hopefully have open discussions where fans and GMs and players can contribute. Like, oh, here's how I used the Tankard Truth in my game, and here's the rules I applied. Here's the DC that I applied for this effect, and I didn't use it as a Tankard Truth. I used it as something completely different. And so the idea behind the forum is that as a community, you guys can just work together and use the cards how you want, and then share it with the world and say, I used the deck totally different, and here's the rules I placed on each of the cards or these handful of cards. And so from that, we're really hoping that it really blossoms and people can use other people's creativity, because that's really where something like this really blossoms, is when you set it out in the world, because there's far more creative people than us as a collective unit that may look at these cards and see a totally different thing and come up with a really brilliant idea for the card and how to use it. So that's one thing I'm really excited to.
So we can put our influence out there by creating the story, creating the deck, and the community can actually give that back to us and give us influence and give us, who knows, give us ideas. So it's going to be this two-way thing, and that's why I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with it.
That's cool. Is that forum up right now for people to use with the demo deck, or is that going to be something that comes when the main deck launches?
I haven't really set a date yet because we're so focused on the Kickstarter. It's the bases are there. We just haven't let the forum go live yet.
Okay.
But it's quite possible that we'll launch it right before the Kickstarter launches, and that way people who have the demo decks can start contributing as well. The other thing I wanted to mention for this Kickstarter, part of the Kickstarter is we're going to have our own custom dice that Mark Sherbert of Ice Cream Dice fame designed for us. So you can there's going to be a pledge level where you can get the deck and the dice, D&D deck and dice, as a pledge level, or you can add it as an add-on. We're also going to have dice bags, custom handmade dice bags. Hopefully we'll have stickers that come with every pledge level except for the PDF. And there's going to be tons of stretch goals to unlock more cards, pins. I know there's a lot of D&D and RPG community who love pins that they can display when they go to conventions and stuff. So we'll have some of those too as stretch goals that hopefully we can unlock and put in people's hands.
Sweet. So the website is mysticdragongames.com?
That's it.
Sweet. Where else can people find you on social media?
You can reach us at, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. For Facebook, it's just / Mystic Dragon Games. For Twitter, it's at Mystic Dragon GM. And for Instagram, it's Mystic Dragon at Mr. Dragon Games. So they can reach us either. We're also on Board Game Geeks. We just got on there not too long ago, so we're still fleshing that out. But I'd say Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are probably the best ways to get hold of us. And of course, you can email us as well. mysticdragongm@gmail.com.
Cool. Well, for me, Mike and Steve, hey, I got it right that time.
No worries, man. No worries.
For the three of us, mahalo and have a great day. Again, thank you for listening to The Kevin Long Show. You can find us on Facebook by searching The Kevin Long Show. You can find us on Twitter at The Kevin Long SH1, or you can email the show at thekevinlongshow.com.